Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to our Road to Conference event. I'm Willie Santiago. I am the Manager of Programs and Resources for APAP. I use they, them pronouns, and I'm a fair-skinned Hispanic person with brown eyes, medium-length wavy brown hair, and I'm wearing a black shirt with a red, gray, and golden autumnal scarf today. I want to acknowledge before we begin that APAP is located in our nation's capital, Washington, D.C., on the ancestral lands of the Piscataway, the Anacostan, and Pamunkey people who have stewarded this land throughout the generations, and I would like to pay my respect to the elders both past, present, and future. Closed captioning is available for today's event, and we are also joined by ASL interpreters from Purple, Gay Joyner, and Patrice Herring. We thank you both for collaborating with us for today's event. I will now turn things over to our Director of Programs and Resources, Krista Bradley.
Hey, thanks, Willie. Hi, everybody. It's good to see you. The members of our team, you've met two of us, but J.G. Decker, our Senior Associate of Resources and Events, and Neo Nardo-Madison, our Director of Operations and Events, are also here as resources and part of the team for today's event. We would love to know who's in the room. And so I think we have a poll just to get a sense of how many people have come to APAP before and what your role in the field is. So if you wouldn't mind just taking a few seconds to fill that out for us, that will give us a sense of how to know who's here and how to cater our conversation and leverage the expertise in the room. Excellent. So it's almost full. But it looks like we have a really healthy mix of different roles in the field here. So about a quarter of you are presenters, a little bit more than that are artists or maybe also artists. 10% are agents and managers, and then producers, consultants, and other arts professionals make up another third. So great mix of representatives in the field here. The majority of you have 10 plus years in the field. And then, the other third has a little bit under 10. So that's great. And then, more than half of you are coming to the conference for the first time. Welcome. This is exciting. And then other folks have been there have come to a couple of or many conferences. So this is great to see all the people here. Thank you for filling that out. Well, today we're going to go through the agenda. We can look at the agenda and just some of you have heard this, so we'll go through it rather briskly, but because we have a lot of newcomer potential attendees, I want to make sure that we give you the information that you might need to learn more about APAP. So we'll talk about what is APAP and APAP NYC in particular. And we'll give a conference overview. We'll talk about the programming priorities and the topics and highlight some things that are happening at conference. And then we'll have our Q&A. Joining us, in addition to the staff, we have a number of conference committee members that are on the line, and we also have 2 of our 5 conference co-chairs here. So you'll hear more from our conference co-chairs, Laura Sweet and Sarah Saltwick, later. But I just wanted to thank you all for being here representing the work of the conference committee. Next slide. So let's talk about what is APAP, or specifically what is APAP NYC. APAP NYC is the world's largest gathering of the performing arts, presenting, booking, and touring industry. I think we can move to the next slide. It's also our annual members conference of the Association of Performing Arts Professionals, which is what APAP stands for. We're the National Arts Service Organization for the presenting, booking, and touring industry. And our annual conference that happens every year is happening January 10th through the 14th at the New York Hilton in New York City and across New York City. Our headquarters are at the Hilton, but the conference takes place throughout the city. Next slide, please. Um, the APAP conference has 4 pillars, and you'll hear about two of them, actually 3 of them today. Actually, all of them today. So the community is one of our first pillars. It's the conference is really about the community of our industry coming together. It's about finding community among fellow artists, presenters, agents and managers, producers, and all the folks that are involved in presenting, booking, and touring, and moving artists and arts performances across borders. And it's a wonderful way to find your people. And we have lots of ways that we offer you opportunities to do that. The second and important part of our work here is commerce. This is where the industry makes a good portion of their livelihood. We have agents, managers, self-represented artists coming to New York to meet with potential bookers, buyers, programmers for planning seasons in the current year, in the future, and to start building relationships that can maybe lead to an engagement and a gig. So a lot of what happens at conference, well, it might happen in a particular place in our expo hall or in showcases. It is grounded in relationship building to make that happen. The third pillar is learning. We come together to learn what's happening in the field, to learn about new ways to deal in our business, new information that we should know to be able to be more effective in our business, and also what shifts and trends are happening that affect all of us that work in this field. So we do a lot of learning together in our professional development that happens at conference. And then finally, discovery is a value and a pillar in our conference. We come together to discover new work, new artists, new colleagues, and businesses that we didn't know about. And we want to encourage you to discover and not just go to the same people or the same organizations or the same showcases that you have always gone to. It's an opportunity every year to see what's new and to see and meet people that you might not have gotten a chance to meet before. We also have a lot of new people in the field, so every time we come together, it's an opportunity to discover and make new connections. Next slide. There are some key elements of APAP NYC that fall into those 4 categories, those 4 pillars that I just spoke of. These key elements include the networking and affinity groups, which are really critical to community building and also discovery. We have over 1,000 showcases that take place both at the Hilton and across the city. These showcases are 15, 20-minute selections of live performances that give artists and agents and presenters a chance to show their work and for presenters to get a taste of what that work might look like in their own venues, or whether that would fit what they're doing in their home venues. We also have professional development, as I mentioned earlier. That's a key part of our learning that happens. The EXPO Commons is a 3-floor, huge portion of APAP where many business meetings and discovery happens. We have over 500 booths and agents and managers and self-represented artists that have booths there. We also have events that take place in the EXPO Commons that allow you to discover other people and projects that are happening. And then finally, we have some other events that amplify those 4 pillars that we talked about up next, which is an artist discovery session. It's a sample of curated works that are ready to tour. We also have a session where we feature works that are not ready to tour but are looking for partners. We have 5 Minutes to Shine, which is a wonderful way to highlight what's new in the field and people that are trying out new things. And we have those at the top of every plenary over the weekend. Our APAP Honors Breakfast honors the people, longtime leaders, new leaders that are shaping the field and have made this industry what it is today. That happens on Monday. It's a great way to celebrate the who and the what in our field. And then we have mentoring that happens throughout the conference, but we have leaned into the mentoring piece of and the role that we play with each other. We have the mentor exchange that happens on Monday. It's a great opportunity to hear and see longtime veterans talking with mid-career and emerging leaders about the issues of the day. So those are the key elements that happen at APAP NYC. And then there are the things that are not programmed and are serendipitous that happen in between sessions. Next slide. So our conference takes place in January, but the work has started back in March. And the way that we organize and plan the conference is through representation from our members. And that group is led by these 5 amazing people. These are our conference co-chairs this year: Chisa Yamaguchi, producer and manager at Zozo Artists; Laura Sweet, Vice President and COO of Des Moines Performing Arts Center, who's with us today; Mark Wilson, Executive Director of Zellner Art Center in Lehigh; Sarah Hogg, who is an artist and owner of Rhythmwood Drive; and Sarah Saltwick, who's co-director of Holden and Arts Associates, who's also with us today. So I'm going to turn things over to Laura and Sarah and just ask them to talk a little bit about our work on the conference committee. And we can also highlight our conference committee members who are listed on the slide.
Krista, before we move forward, there is one question in the chat, and I know we will have time at the end for Q&A, but I think this is a good question just to lift up in light of what you were just discussing.
Would you like me to
Yeah,
I just thought, please explain how the artist discovery sessions are different from the showcase. Thanks, Candy, for that. It's a really good question. So the artist discovery session that happens we have 2. On Friday is the Up Next artist discovery session with works that are ready to tour. And Saturday afternoon will be Up Next works in progress. Both of those have been curated. So artists submit or artist agents submit potential topics and ideas and work that fit into the categories for these Up Next works in progress and Up Next ready to tour highlights. And then we have outside and internal folks curating and selecting those. So, and there's a set number. Our showcases are available to be organized and seen by anyone who wants to showcase. So it's not curated. If you want to showcase as an artist, you can do so if you follow through the channels that you need to. But that's the difference. So I don't know, Neo, would you actually add anything here that you want to underscore?
I would add that showcases to showcase and to promote a showcase, you need to be registered for the conference to promote a showcase. Artists on a roster don't have to be registered to participate in a showcase. However, everyone in a discovery session does need to be a registered conference attendee. And I'll mute myself now. Thank you.
We had some very enthusiastic people who are excited about showcasing. So hopefully, Candy, that answered your question. Thank you for raising that. It's a really good question. The discovery sessions, do you mean, well, the discovery sessions have already been selected, so that call for potential works happened back in August. But the discovery sessions will take place on Friday afternoon and Saturday afternoon. And I'll highlight those here when we go through that schedule. So I'm going to turn it over to Laura and Sarah, two representatives of our co-chairs and our conference committee, to just talk about the conference committee and what they've done.
Yeah, hi everybody. I'm Sarah from Austin, Texas, from Holden and Arts Associates. So this is my second year as one of the co-chairs, and then before that, I was part of the conference committee. I highly recommend getting involved if you are interested. The conference committee is just a really great group of minds coming forward with different backgrounds, different roles in the field, different experiences from different regions, a huge wealth of experience and different ways of looking at the conference and imagining different paths through. One of the things I love about APAP is just its size and the amount of offerings, and everyone's APAP schedule and experience is going to look a little different. So our conference committee has been so incredible to help think about the diversity of experiences of folks coming to APAP, what an experience might be for somebody newer, somebody mid-career, somebody really established, because the conference has something for everyone, to thinking about that artist role and how showcases might fit in, thinking about someone who's really looking for professional development to deepen their understanding of the industry, thinking about some of these big conversations we want to have when we're gathered all together, and trying to name some of these big topics that feel like speak to people in multiple roles and positions. So a lot of work gets done. It's a lot of discussions. It's a lot of asking questions and bouncing ideas off of and saying, here's this conference we all love and believe in, and how can we make it even better and serve more of the field and serve people on a deeper level. Laura, do you want to add?
Sure. Boy, you did a great job though, Sarah, in really encapsulating what work has gone on with the committee to this point. I think I would just sort of highlight what you already said, but I would say it again in maybe slightly different way. We're also thinking about there's people that are coming to the conference from a variety of different points in their career. There are also people from different areas and lenses in our field, from artists to agent managers. And I think the committee has really been trying to be thoughtful about not just where we're at in our career from a timeline standpoint or development standpoint, but what are we bringing into the conference that would help us to go back at the end of that time in January together and think differently about challenges we're facing, really expand on the things that we're able to do collaboratively from community to community, really leaning on learning from best practices. And I would say Sarah talked about her experience previously on the committee. Please, she's right, get involved, find an area to serve. I think we all get more out of any organization if we're also volunteering for it. And what I would say is I've benefited personally from being involved with the mentoring and new colleague orientation aspect of APAP. I personally find I learned so much from the people that are just starting in our field, especially from artists and agents and managers. It is great to be able to constantly challenge yourself to think in new ways. So hopefully, Krista, we covered just a little bit of what hard work has gone on from a committee standpoint into hopefully making this at the top of everybody's favorite conferences of all times. No pressure.
Thank you both. Really appreciate it. And as you can see, this slide shows the diversity of people that are on the conference committee, and each one of them brings their own unique lens, from being a practitioner in this field at different places in their career. And so it's been great to work with this group. And thank you to those who are here today for leveraging your experience on the behalf of the field. So the message here is that nothing that we've put together has been done in a vacuum. It's been actually developed and refined and double checked and reviewed by your colleagues. And so we hope that you'll find that really encouraging and exciting. Okay, next slide. All right, so we're going to talk a little bit about the overview of today's session. And today's session, as a reminder, is focusing on the programming at conference. And programming meaning the professional development and the networking that will happen at conference. We've had other sessions on showcasing and expo hall and things to do to prep. So today's focus is really on programmatic pieces, since we just announced that. So we wanted to give people an opportunity to learn more about it. And then I'm just, as a note, if you missed any of those other sessions, which were really, really great, and I know so many of you are artists and you're also interested in showcasing and the expo hall, I would encourage you to watch those replays. So if I can get, the staff could put the links of those replays in the chat, that would be helpful, just so you get the full breadth and depth of what happens at APAP, and you get the resources that you need to prep and determine whether you want to be there. So we've had some guiding values that have informed our programs, the programmatic work at conference. One of the things, and I'll ask our co-chairs to weigh in as they so choose, is that there are many ways to APAP. We know that not everybody has a booth. Not everybody showcases. Not everybody meets in the expo hall. Not everybody takes meetings. So there are lots of ways to find your path. And we want to make sure that everyone knows that there are multiple ways to APAP and give you opportunities to be able to go the path that you feel works for you, or to jump to different kinds of things that help you do your work when you're there. We also wanted to make APAP NYC even more accessible and inclusive in all ways as possible. And so we've done a lot to lean in on the accessibility piece. Just how can people show up as their full selves and access and participate in the way that makes them the most comfortable and allows them to do that fully. And we have talked about some of the accessibility practices that we've embedded this year, and building on last year. Team, if we could put the accessibility link in the chat, that would be great. We'll have ASL, we will have closed captioning, we will have quiet rooms for people to just take breaks. Obviously there's water and snacks, available. We will ensure that, all of our showcases on site and our sessions on site are wheelchair accessible, with some reserved seating, so that wheelchair users can get in and out as they need and as they choose. We've also, worked with our showcase producers offsite to make the accessibility information more visible and more accessible, no pun intended, to those that might want to attend a showcase offsite. And so those are some guiding values that we've leaned into. We've tried to make information available sooner and to build community across our membership sooner and leading up to conference. This is an example of that. This is our 4th Road to Conference session, and this is all to kind of help you as current members, maybe potential members, maybe potential attendees, get the information you need to make decisions. And so that's been something that members asked for, and we've aimed to deliver. And then at conference, we're looking at trying to be responsive and useful and inspirational with the programming that we provide. And what does that mean? So there's the mix of very practical business information and tools and strategies that you need, but there's also sessions that can inspire and change the way that you think about your work, or give you information about new trends that are happening in the field that you might want to consider in your own work, and what's happening in the world. How does our field need to respond to changes, shifts in the environment, whether it's advocacy or other things that are happening across communities where the arts can actually be responsive to those needs, but also be connected. And then the other piece for us at conference is that we try to be a little bit more sane and supportive of people moving through these 5 days. Sarah mentioned that it's a lot. It's a big conference with nearly 4,000 people, and there's a lot that goes on there. And we have tried to create space and time for people to experience all that, and maybe not, to do it in a healthier way. It is only 5 days, so we don't want you to burn out, but if you need to burn out, you have a way to recover, but we're trying to encourage you to pace and to make sure that the scheduling supports that. Next slide. Okay, so our programming priorities. I should tell you that we did a lot of surveying of our field before we decided on what we wanted to focus on, and we asked members, what are the things that are critical for you right now? And you said, we need to hear information about critical issues impacting our business. We want to hear from experts inside and outside our field. We don't want to just hear from those in the industry, but those that maybe are adjacent to our industry or that might be outside of our industry, so that we can maybe gain, a different lens to the way that we work. People ask for practical tools, new ideas, and inspiration. They also wanted a chance to connect. Networking is one of the key reasons why people come to conference, and to connect with others. So we wanted to allow colleagues time to meet and connect in informal ways, but also just to kind of share the challenges that they're dealing with, and to have time to do some sense making together. Nobody has the absolute right answer for every challenge, and we're all kind of moving through things, improvising and trying out new ways of doing things. So we wanted to give people opportunities, time to do that. And then something we've been asked for a while, for many months and years, is try to limit the programming that happens during the expo hall hours, so that people don't have to make the choice of doing their work and leaning into commerce in the expo hall or going to professional development. So we've really tried to honor that this year. And so now we have opportunities so that exhibitors are free for most programming if they so choose to attend, and presenters are freer to do the expo hall, and only the expo hall if they choose. Next slide. I can continue here. Does anybody else want to mention anything about guiding principles? I'm thinking about Laura and Sarah. If you don't want to add, that's okay, but yeah, I'll just keep going. Okay, so what's new? I know that all of it might be new for some of you, but for those that have come to conference, here are the ways that we've responded to requests. There's greater accessibility and better communication about accessibility. I just mentioned a little bit of those things earlier. We've revamped the schedule, so there's no professional development Saturday afternoon against the expo hall. So just to repeat, there's no PD on Saturday afternoon against the expo hall. What is happening on Saturday afternoon are discovery sessions in the expo hall. So this is an opportunity to have people who already have meetings in the expo hall to maybe pop in to those discovery sessions, and just, and have a lot of concentrated energy in the expo hall. On Sunday, we have typically had a plenary that Sunday morning, but we've gotten rid of that, and we've replaced it with more professional development. So Sunday morning from like 9 to 12:15 is all PD. And this gives everybody an opportunity to access professional development as they choose. We also have new opportunities for connecting. We've added more options to meet in one part of the expo hall, which is called the Discovery Zone. It's on the first floor. And we'll have, as I've mentioned, Saturday afternoon sessions happening there for discovering work and artists, or people that are interested in similar topics that you are interested in. And we'll also be having more affinity groups meetings in that area and over the weekend. Typically, we only have affinity groups early on, but we have heard that people want more times to connect. So we've given more opportunities to do so. That's what's new. Next slide. So there are 3 topic areas that emerged from the surveys that we did to the field and to members and your peers of the APAP members asked for us to focus on these 3 areas. One is audiences. So we are calling that audience evolutions. This is everything that has to do with the changing audience behaviors. What's happening with their participation or their expectations? How is it changing, and what does that mean for us as arts workers, as artists, and as organizations trying to navigate those changes? And what does that mean for us in our need to evolve or adapt? The second is all about advocating for ourselves as arts workers, advocating for our organizations, and advocating for the field. We know that we're about to have our election in the US next week. Whatever happens and whatever that outcome, we know that there will be shifts happening politically in the Senate and the House, and probably in your, all politics are local. So in your own states and regions. And what does it mean for that shift, and how do we need to advocate differently? Not just because there's been an election, but advocating for ourselves and the field in general so that we can be more sustainable. And also, how do we kind of sustain ourselves as arts workers over the long haul? And then the third area is the shifts in practice. This is really all about what's changing and what are the new practices that we need to be aware of for the future. So we'll be highlighting shifts in programming and how people are thinking about programming differently, shifts in business and strategy, shifts in how to think about operations differently or about leadership differently, and management. So these are really, really great. All of them are really great, but in particular, if you are new to the field or if you want grounding in kind of what's going on right now that I need to know about as an arts worker and a professional, the shifts in practice will be really important, as well as advocating, for you and your organization. So those are the 3 buckets. Next slide. I'm going to go through just what the highlights are. And Sarah and Laura, let us know if you want to add anything or amplify things. And I know that you both have played a role in some of these things on Friday, so I'd love to hear your perspective on it. So Friday is really about the community coming together to get oriented and inspired and ready for the days ahead. Part of that is getting to find your people and meeting with affinity groups, which we have many. We have an artist affinity group. We have agents and managers affinity group. It's Laura Sweet can talk about other affinity groups that she's co-led. And she can maybe mention a little bit about the orientation that we have, particularly for newcomers. The other things that happen that day are up next. I mentioned that earlier, the pitch session and our opening session and reception. Laura, do you want to just mention about the orientation and any affinity group stuff?
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Krista. And I would say one of my favorite things about Friday is we are all well caffeinated and we are not yet sleep deprived. So it is a great time as we come together to start with the orientation that Krista mentioned. It's a new colleague orientation, but it's also a chance to sort of reset, regroup. I'll use that word network. I know Mojo's part of our call today, but we've had great leaders help us as mentors being matched up in the moment to just help welcome new colleagues, either new to our field, new to our conference, into the fold and help them sort of orient their schedule that's ahead for the next few days. It is a truly great thing to do on your Friday. Krista also alluded to the wonderful affinity meetings. I've been super proud for APAP in so many different ways. And one of the things that APAP is great to do is to make sure that there's space to come together. I'm in operations. I'm sort of a unicorn when it comes to our field, in that I oversee the venue from truly an operational standpoint. So there's a place dedicated for us to come together and talk specifically about security, ticket systems, front of house, back of house, all of those things that are maybe not as closely aligned with programming and artistic decisions as some of the other parts of the conference. So if that's not your jam, it probably isn't. There are other affinity groups that might be right up your alley that can help you, again, start the ball rolling for APAP and really hit the ground running with new colleagues from the beginning that are your new friends. So Friday rocks.
Yeah, Friday might be one of my favorite days as well, because it does feel festive. You're meeting folks you know, meeting new people. And every year there seems to be somebody I meet Friday who then I continue to see throughout the conference, and we're sort of looking out for each other. And those affinity spaces are really special. And I think especially for folks relatively new to the conference, really carving out time for the affinity spaces and the professional development places that are not as sales focused are a great place to start building relationships that then will continue throughout the year and throughout other years too. I'm an agent. I spend a lot of time in the expo hall, but a lot of those are with more established relationships. The places where I'm building relationships and meeting new folks are often in these forums, affinity meetings, or professional development spaces.
Thank you both. I see a lot of our conference committee members here. So I want to just invite, if there's anyone that wants to comment along the way with highlights, let's raise your hand and let us know. But conference committee members, I see at least 5 or 6 of you, and would welcome your voices as part of the team that's helped to produce this. So just, raise your hand if you want to chat, and the team will help me know that you've raised your hand. So I'm gonna move on for now. So that's Friday. Friday, we're well caffeinated, we're getting together, we're meeting our people. It's really awesome. And I should also mention that Friday before the opening session and reception is open to any arts worker. So our forums and affinity groups are open to people that maybe have not officially registered for the full conference, but it's a wonderful opportunity to connect with people early on, and then come to the rest of the conference. So the affinity groups, we have over 20 of them. You do need to RSVP to attend that, even though you might not be a register for conference, but there's everything from, affinity groups by your profession, like there's an artist affinity group, and there is a marketing affinity group and development. And then there's by type of presenter. So whether you're a university presenter or you're a municipal presenter or a festival, you have different opportunities. Then there's the affinity groups by topic. Maybe you have a shared interest in classical music. We have a classical connections affinity group, or you're really interested in family programming and you want to meet peers, whether artists, agents, managers that are working in that. We have that on Friday. We also have a dance forum that we partner with Dance USA about, and then we have affinity groups that are by identity. So it's meant for folks who identify as whatever that affinity group might be. It might be, Black arts professionals or Latinx arts professionals or LGBTQIA plus professionals. So there's lots of ways to connect with different people that you share something with on that day. Saturday, let's move on to the next day. Saturday is kind of a big day to kind of get grounded. So the conference committee felt pretty strongly that we talk about some burning issues and get people grounded with information before they launch into their work. And so we have some sessions on Saturday morning that help to do that. So we have some up-to-date research and expert guidance to navigate the moment around audiences and audience changes, and or about the different generations in the workforce. We have 4 generations working across our field, and each one has had a distinct and unique way of growing up and seeing the world and being groomed to be an adult, and move through the world. And that impacts all of the ways that we make decisions, or our expectations, or our communication styles. It's also impacted the way we make decisions within organizations. And so we have a session all on that, on distributed leadership and how that's impacting the way that we work. And we thought it was important to do that on Saturday because we are a microcosm of all of those different groups gathered. And we're all going to be working with each other over the next 5 days to try to make connections. So what better way to kind of get oriented, knowing that you're going to be working with and discovering and hopefully engaging with various people across the generation spectrum, and how can we do that in a way that is mutually supportive and encouraging, so that everyone benefits. We also have some sessions that morning around discovery. We have a works in progress pitch happening in Saturday afternoon in the expo hall. And then we have a session that is not curated, so anybody that wants to be part of this conversation can be, which is all about people or artists or projects that are very interested in socially engaged work that deals with social issues or community or topics that are critical around the social welfare of communities. So it's an opportunity to connect with people there. And then we'll also have advocacy sessions that morning just to get grounded, like what do you need to know now post-election, and what's important and on the docket, moving forward for our industry. So that's a good grounding and discovery sessions on Saturday. I'm going to just check to see if there are any messages. No, okay. All right, so the next day is Sunday. This is a big day for the conference. You all have had lots of opportunities to see and hear lots of things. People are a little low energy on Sunday. So we try to make sure that there are some inspiration and energizing activities that happen on Sunday. So can we go to the next slide, please, for Sunday? So we can, great. So Sunday is all about what's new and what's working. You're going to hear a lot about the innovations and successes in the field. This is where we're doing some sessions around arts and public health and about immersive work and things of that sort. It's also a great day for new opportunities to connect around shared interests and goals that day. So this is the day where you can discover a lot of things. One thing I forgot to mention, and I apologize, about Saturday. Earlier, I talked about how the field had asked us for more people that are outside of our field or experts that were outside of our field to provide some insight. One of the people that was suggested to us was Seth Godin, the marketing guru and business strategist. And Seth Godin is going to be our plenary speaker on Saturday. So that session is This is Strategy. It's really a session about how to strategize and be an influence in whatever world that might be, whether it's business or you're trying to change the world as a arts worker or community organizations, but just how can you do that in an adaptive and strategic way, and what does it mean to do that now? So this is a session for anyone working in our field, whether you have a small business or you're an individual artist running a small business or you're an arts organization. This is a different take from a person that's outside of our field to give us insight on things, a different way to think about things. And just an aside, I saw Seth on Monday. He actually is a real lovely advocate of arts and creativity. So I think I'm super excited about this session because he understands and appreciates our world, and he has a lot of things to say to help us think about our work differently. So that's not something to miss. Okay, so that's moving back to Sunday. Sunday's all about what's new and what's working. And then on Monday, we will have a lot of celebrating and sharing. We have our APAP member meeting that morning. This is for anyone that's a member, and you'll be hearing about our new sustainability plan. That's an important session if you want to know kind of where APAP is going and what the next several years will look like, and how we're evolving to serve you even better. And then we have a APAP Honors Awards that morning, and then we'll have more sessions that afternoon that address just practical ways of moving in the world. Like, how are we really leaning into accessibility in our field, and how do you do that differently, given some new resources that are emerging? How do you work on presenting and performing on campuses? What are the things that are happening and changing? And then we have a number of mentor sessions and mentor exchange sessions that happen that day, as well as things around block booking and climate change. So things that are practical about like the business of what we do, and what does it look like to do this now. Our final day is Tuesday, and this is just getting you ready to leave and take all the good things back to your community. We have a farewell breakfast and a meet and greet, and we'll have an inspiring closing speaker that will be announced at a later date. But that's kind of the 5 days. It's a lot that happens. But hopefully you found that there's something there that would be inspiring and encouraging for you as an arts worker. And at this point, I'm gonna stop talking, and I'm gonna see if any of our conference committee members want to say anything, or share their perspective on the programming and what they have been working on, or any other things that I might not have underscored, particularly knowing that we have so many people that are new in the room. Rick, Ivy.
Hey, Krista, I appreciate this great review of the conference. As a member of the committee, it's been important for me to represent the small and mid-sized presenters, where perhaps more than in a general sense, we have so many different roles. And so the ability for us to join these forums and conference affinity groups to really sit down with our colleagues to brainstorm and to network and to problem solve, and sometimes just to provide, therapy to each other, counseling about the challenges that we face. For example, for me, I'm a classical music presenter. I'm a small and mid-sized presenter. I'm an independent venue-less presenter. I do family programming. And so the conference allows me in one-stop shop to find all of the different groups that I am a part of, and to have that opportunity to network and problem solve and just meet our colleagues. So it's such an important conference, and just could not recommend it more.
Thank you, Rick. Appreciate you raising all those. And none of those sessions, maybe one of them, is programmed against each other. So classical music and I think the family programming ones are up against each other. But there's a small and mid-sized presenters affinity group and an independent venue-less affinity group that don't happen at the same time. So for those of you who also wear multiple hats, there are ways to get to all of those things that you might need to, or at least go to a part of it. Anybody else? Danielle.
I would just like to bring up the idea of one of the things we see every year, which is people not registering for the conference, but still making their APAP experience in the hotel lobby at the Hilton. And I've spoken with actually some artists and other presenters that I work with recently, and really have encouraged them to go ahead and register. And I'll just share that here. There is, though it can seem expensive to register for APAP, it's actually cheaper than Folk Alliance International for me. So that's something that's worth noting. Also, I would say that it is such a zoo in the hotel lobby, and trying to find a place to actually have a meeting is really a challenge. And it's just really worth having access to quiet space, to appropriate space to have your meetings, and to then be able to meet so many other of your colleagues and to, share experiences and take part and really grow your network. So I'm a real proponent of going ahead and registering for the conference and not just doing the sort of APAP sideshow exhibit down in the lobby, I guess is the way I would put it, because it really is so worth the investment. And I would just encourage folks to do that. And there is often scholarship money for first timers available, for lack of a better word. So I have encouraged some of my artists to consider that.
Danielle, thank you so much for bringing that up. And Danielle's also an agent and manager. We hear that a lot, and it's, being able to access all parts of the programming that happen at conference, the 4 pillars that we talked about, really great. Much of this work is all about relationship building, and there are many ways to build those relationships throughout the 5 days. Part of that is going to and being in those sessions, those networking sessions, those discovery sessions, PD sessions. And so you can't do that if you're in the lobby, but you can do that if you have an artist badge, and we have a special artist rate. And I think it's $225. I'm pretty sure that it is. Yep, great. And so that's, substantially lower than what others pay. And so, we would encourage you to avail yourselves of that if you haven't done so already. I see some questions in the chat. I'm glad to know that people are excited about Seth Godin. That's great. We are excited too. Candy, the Family Programming Forum is open to everyone. Sarah Saltwick, I know that you help organize that. Is there anything you want to mention there?
It's very fun. Usually we do a few voices from the field of people sharing different projects. That's a small part. And then there's some networking at different roundtables, but it is definitely for artists, for agents, for presenters, for anyone creating work for youth and family audiences, and tends to bring a really broad range of folks in.
Awesome. Thank you. J. Philip Oldham, I appreciate your question. This conference is focuses on the live performing arts. That doesn't mean that audio theater is not a touring option. And I know that there have been several artists that have radio theater or audio theater that tour. It's also such a great genre for small and mid-sized organizations to do. So there is a place for you. And I know that we also have selections and things on people's rosters that include speakers or that's called the personalities from podcasts, and also audio theater. So just know that that's been represented. If there's not a focus on it, but it's certainly representative as one of the disciplines in our field. Anybody else from the conference committee want to make any comments? I can't see you all, so feel free.
I'll just say something real quick. This is Chris with ECE Touring. I would say for anybody who is new, and I usually say this on every one of these webinars, but anybody who's new coming to this, really try to go into the conference sort of, yes, for discovery, but also try to set some tangible goals about what you want to achieve from APAP, because it really is every day is a marathon, and it is super overwhelming, and you really can't do everything that is available, that's offered. So really setting some tangible goals, and what it is you're looking to do. If maybe your focus is professional development this year because there's so many great PD tracks, or if you're a presenter and you're really looking to discover new artists and really going into the showcases and those avenues to find new acts, or to walk the expo hall to meet agents and artists you haven't worked with before. But just set some tangible goals so that by the end of the conference, you can feel that you accomplish things and your mindset is what you accomplished rather than, oh my gosh, I didn't get to do everything. And I think that's a super healthy way to go into it. Also, take lots of vitamins and make sure you're super hydrated, get lots of rest before you go, and take a few pairs of shoes to change your shoes out, because happy feet make for a longer day, and that makes you able to go a longer day. So yeah, it's a little comfort thing.
Spoken from a veteran. That's really important. Yeah, definitely bring pairs of shoes that are comfortable, and you need to change your shoes at least once a day if you're on your feet all the time. I wonder if there are other questions. I saw a question about scholarships. And I think Danielle, thank you for putting that in the chat. I think that we may have opportunities for maybe a very small number of people to still apply for scholarship funds. We are very, very close to exhausting all of those. So if you haven't had the chance to do that, we would encourage you to do that today. And that will probably close, that we will exhaust the funds very, 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 very soon. So, please do that. It's only for folks that have not already registered. I should just clarify that. So if you have already registered, you're not eligible for those funds. But if you haven't, today is the day to fill that out. Okay. Any other questions or any other comments from the team? Well, with that, I mean, I hope that you all feel like you got a little bit more of a taste of what APAP is about, and particularly what the programmatic components are. You can still register up until early January, and we hope that you will. And we really hope to see you there. And I want to thank our conference committee members so much for your wisdom and your dedication to the field, and for serving your colleagues so beautifully. And we're super excited to be in January and to see you all there. Oh, Adina, I see your hand is raised. Do you have a question?
Yes, I do. Hi.
Hi.
Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
My question is, I'm a newbie. I attended as an observer, as an artist last year. I didn't showcase or anything. I just wanted to take it in for the first time. So this year I'm seriously considering showcasing, and I'm a solo performer. Mm-hmm. And my question is, I know I had seen some emails this year and last year about like getting an official mentor. Is that what you do? Do you assign, if you are in fact like genuinely performing in the conference, can you get assigned a mentor that you can meet and talk to during the conference?
Who would like to answer that? Because we have had mentor programs. We're not doing that specifically this time, but I know that there are lots of people in our circle that would love to offer their time and energy to be supportive, particularly of first-time showcasers. I know that any of our showcase producers at the Hilton or other agents and managers that showcase would be open to at least providing some resources and insight. I would probably ask to connect you with Sue, our director of membership, first. and then she can kind of help guide you to folks, Adina. And let's just put Sue's email in the chat. So you have that, because Sue has been the person that has helped to match people in the past.
Oh, great.
That's oops, sorry, did it wrong.
Great. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for bringing that up. Thank you. So Sue Doseworthy is our director of membership. Okay. Any other questions? Oh, and Adina, I think Chris Kaminsky also sent you a note, which who's on our conference committee. All right. Well, with that, everyone, thank you so much for coming today. Thank you again for showing up and being interested in APAP NYC. And we look forward to seeing you there. It's going to be great. Take good care. And before you go, Willie's just put a link in the chat to let us know if this was useful to you and what you would do differently. We want to make sure that these resources are helpful to you. All right. Have a great afternoon, everyone. Thank you for being here.